Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to do a red day recap of, well, it wasn't a red day. It was a flat day, but regardless, it was a frustrating day. We'll put it that way. So just a recap of what happened today, why it was frustrating and why it was tough to trade in my opinion, and what we're looking at, where we could have gotten in, where we could have gotten some nice wins, but hindsight's always 20/20, so it's hard to see some of these in real time. But TC, this one, really took off after market open. We're seeing this over here. We got alerts on this one in chat, and we were alerting when it was moving on this this first initial pop here with this volume. You can see the histogram here showing us the volume down below as well. First candle, we got a little bit of volume, but we really started to pick up once we came out of that halt. It had halted up, continued, and then before you know it, it was up quite a bit. So this one went all the way from let's see, from here to here. We're looking at 135%. And guys, this is a minute chart. So this is, minute candles. This didn't take very long for that to happen. We are seeing some major reds over here. We're seeing some a negative 13% candle at this point. So some things to consider. We are having some hefty pullbacks, right? But these green candles are letting us know when it's bullish, when it's bearish. Now, for me, when I was alerting on this one, a little apprehensive. Didn't jump in on this. May have been watching something else at that time. But missed out on the initial move here, and that was kind of the day for me, kind of missing out the initial move, catching the tail end of it, and then getting stopped out on these kind of lower quality type setups. But this one gapped up. We got our pullback right here. This is what I'm looking for. Typically, when we're trading with this indicator, if I'm not buying on the first initial pop, which typically if I'm buying on the first initial pop, I'm using even the 10-second chart sometimes to get in those micro pullbacks. But it's a high risk type of setup, right? That's a micro pullback is going to be very high risk. So what I prefer is to see a 1 minute setup, but that's going to be this pivot zone that we see up here. So that didn't plot until it was already up quite a bit. So it was frustrating because you're waiting and waiting and waiting and watching it go without you, and you're getting that FOMO's really building up, kicking in. You're like, man, I want to get in on this. And then all of a sudden we pulled back. You get the pivot zone. You're like excited. This is it. Closed above right here. This is where I got in my trade, first trade here on TC. Unfortunately, it didn't hold up. It was supposed to hold this pivot zone. If it doesn't, then that's it. I'm out, right? And there's no strategy that works 100% of the time. So these losses are okay. Mitigating risk is most important. So mitigating the risk for me means any stock that turns red, any candle you see that if I'm on these green candles, that means it's bullish momentum with this indicator. This is the 1 minute bullish pivot pro. These green candles, simply put, that's bullish momentum. I want to be in on the long side. Red candles, opposite. It's going to be the short side, right? So if I'm a short seller, I'm looking for this signal right here. Well, we got this signal. We had this bullish signal here. We had bullish momentum. I got into my position, pull back. I have the choice to either add into the pivot zone or just hold the original position for a bigger move, depending on how I feel, whether I have a cushion built up or not is how I approach that. Sometimes I'll add into the dip. Sometimes I'll hold my position. Really depends. But this one pulled back. It then closed below the level. This would be my exit. This is a loss. So unfortunately, being in on this close above and then taking this close below, it's a 13% loss there. So that it's frustrating. That's 50 cents per share. And this is why we're saying in chat that this one is higher risk. We've got to make adjustments. I'm trading with hard stops. So for me, instead of waiting for this candle to close, I was setting a hard stop just below this level. So as soon as you start to see it drop, that's it, I'm out. And the reason for that is because the pivot zone gives me a clear indication of where to get in and where to get out. So maybe suffering a 10% loss here, which is, it's frustrating. It's not fun to take a 10% loss like that. It can be very frustrating, especially if you've got a small wins, then you take a 10% loss. You could wipe out those small wins that were adding up before, right? So making adjustments, seeing some of the conditions here and understanding that this is going to be higher risk. We do have confirmation, support, and resistance lines and levels that we use as well. I don't have that on this chart right now. It is a bit congested. If I put that on, you can see it's a bit congested here. But if I turn that back off, we'll see that we don't have that. So if I turn it on, you can see that we do have resistance at this level. We did not close above that level, this purple line here, this magenta line that you see. We did not close above this resistance, and that means that this is higher risk. This is a gap fill, right? We filled the gap, took my trade, and knew that this was a gap fill, knew this was high risk. FOMO took over. Let me get in this one, smaller, smaller size, lotto size. Hard stop down here below the stop. below the pivot zone, and sure enough, boom, gets stopped out, right? Frustrating. Okay, well, we got back above it over here. Okay, this is our entry. Okay, got into this position. Now, at this time, to be honest with you guys, trading a smaller position. So when it gapped up here, took some profit, but didn't really get a massive trade on this one because this was higher risk. Because, again, over here, we can see that if I circle this out here, you can see that this is already filling that gap, right? We've already filled this gap right here. So that is, concerning. So that is something that we want to be aware of. We want to see it close over this new line and level. That's $4.20. We did not close over. This was a false break of that level, pulled back. So glad to take some profit on this one, but got stopped out of my lotto. Again, stop was set just below this this pivot zone. So right in here stop was around 375. Anything below 375 is bearish. And, that's right, because as we can see now, we're dropping down. Here's the short seller's candle. If you're looking to go short on some of these setups, here's your short entry, right? And it just gaps down, gaps down, gaps down. Now we are getting a couple pivots, a little pop and drop here and there, a little pop and drop here and fail. And so now we're seeing that choppy price action because we no longer have that bullish momentum, those green candles we're looking for. This is now short and that bearish momentum. That's a short seller's area of value. So let me turn off this confirmation, support, resistance, just to focus in on the 1 minute confirmation here, or excuse me, the 1 minute bullish pivot pro. So this is very important to me. Green candles, I can trade long. Red candles, I can trade short, right? Green candles here offer a nice little scalp opportunity, but nothing crazy. Looking for momentum and squeeze type of potential here. Didn't get it. Pulled back. Okay, we're out of our position. Mitigating risk. That's what's most important. So that's TC. Kind of frustrating, guys. You can see it's kind of up, down, left, right, right. This is not going exactly the way we want it to go yet. EFSH is another one that I want to go over. EFSH was a tough one to trade as well, unless you caught it in the initial move. I did not catch this one on the initial move. I did not trade EFSH really for anything. But EFSH, you can see here, closed above. 1 minute chart again, closed above. There's our first signal. The problem is it had lower volume leading into this. You can see that on the histogram down below, right? Lower volume leading into this this setup. And we finally got some volume on this candle right here, and we got some volume right here. These green histogram bars showing us a lot of volume, so that's great, right? That's what we're looking for. But the problem is when we get that volume on this candle and our entry signal, it had halted up. So this had already halted up. Now, again, just because it halts up doesn't mean it won't continue. So this one did continue up farther to a next level of 29% before it gave us another pivot zone. So nice move for anyone who caught that. If you didn't catch it, if it came out of the halt and you bought this micro pullback, maybe on a 10-second chart, maybe you can find yourself a micro pullback here and continuation on EFSH. If you missed out the initial move, that's okay. Here's your second opportunity here. Pivot zone plotted here, closed above on this candle here, held and tested the zone, continued up higher. And again, if you measure the move, testing this area here, we're looking at 35% over $1 per share. So EFSH was really nice. The problem was it was happening at the same time as TC. And so for me, I was focused in on TC and wasn't focused on EFSH and wasn't juggling the two trades at one time. And, could have, because I was trading with those hard stops, predetermined hard stops set to the order. But that being said, frustrating. Missed out on this one. It gapped up. Really nice move for those who did have the indicators, did trade the strategy. You can see that it did give us a setup here. If you missed the initial halt up here, well, there's your second opportunity, and it was off to the races. If you're looking for the short opportunity, again, here's your close below. That's your opportunity here, and now we are gapping down ever since. So we need to get above 447. It's now down 45% from this key pivot zone that it needs to close over. And sure, we're getting these little, these little pops here and there. You can see 257 getting a little pop, bouncing off of that, now failing that level. And you can look for another opportunity like that throughout the day. But those are going to be a little bit different. That's going to be more of a, catching that reversal scalp and that little bounce scalp, things like that. Me, I'm looking more so for, typically I'm looking for bullish momentum. So EFSH had the bullish momentum. I did not catch this one, was watching it all the way up into this, but was saying, had low volume, waiting for that candle to go green, got it, and halted up. So it was frustrating, tough to trade it. And then before you know it, it was off and was watching TC. MNPR, another stock that's hitting the scanners. Didn't trade this one, but man, look at this one, 10.99 right now. Look at that move on MNPR. Let's see what the indicator looks like. Yeah, up 122%. Again, tough to find an entry in something like this when it's just, lower volume all the way up until this. All of a sudden starts to gap up, bullish vertical trend, so red flags. Can trade it long, sure, but man, it's so tough to trade, and that's kind of the day that we're looking at. Now, if I switch over to a 10-second chart, let me go ahead and do that. Maybe we'll find an entry on MNPR, and no, it doesn't look like it. Look at this. MNPR is just consistently green all the way up. So tough to find an entry in something like this, guys. 85% up from the entry on a 10-second chart, and even more so on a 1-minute chart, up 122%. Yes, we're getting volume. It didn't arrive until over here. Sure, we're getting the signals on this side, but we weren't getting any volume. So it's tough to trade it without that volume. And now, really, it's frustrating because it's tough to trade it because of all of the halts that we're getting. So now halted up at $11. This could continue. I hope it does, but I don't think I'll be trading it. I'm going to shut it down, guys. Just a flat day for me. Was in profit protection mode earlier this morning and gave back profit, and then got a little bit a small win on TC before shutting it down. But that's going to be it for me, guys. Going to be shutting it down, not giving back profit today, and we'll look for another setup either later today or tomorrow, and we'll of course stick to the rules of the strategy. But guys, frustrating day. Doesn't mean the market was slow, right? We've got some gappers that are doing well right now. Look at MNPR, EFSH, TC. They're doing well, but we're seeing a lot of this pop and drop type of action, which can be frustrating. Same with TC. It's kind of bumping its head against that wall there. Needs to get through. Now we're getting some of these reversal scalp alerts, sure. But I'm really looking for that bullish momentum. So if you're watching TC throughout the day, if you've seen this video on the day of, then the close over 384 is what you're looking for. Now keep in mind, we do have confirmation support resistance as well. And you can see the confirmation support resistance here is acting as resistance around 420. So 420 resistance. It looks congested, right? That's because it is. The confirmation key zone was down here. So this was the first close over of the confirmation key zone. This was the retest. So anyone trading confirmation, get yourself a nice win. This is on watch for continuation, but, and there's a big but here, needs to close over 420. So 384 just to start watching, 420 for continuation. From there, we've got resistance levels above all through these levels. So no position for myself, guys. Shutting it down, and I appreciate you taking some time and watching this video. If you learned anything today, or if you guys, if you made some profit today, you did well on anything, let us know what you traded in the comment section. And if you're doing well this week, let us know, because it's been a great week overall. So guys, thank you. I'll see you in the next video.